Hi everybody, welcome to the Project Virtual Conference. My name is Rafael Santos and I am a principal consultant at Sensei Project Solutions. I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are on the planet. And in my session today, I will be discussing the utilization of Power BI custom visuals to create reports with data coming from Project Online. So, would like to say a big thank you for all of you watching this session today. And I would like to say a big thank you for all of you supporting and helping the Project Virtual Conference. I hope that you are enjoying the conference. I hope that you are having fun. I hope that you are increasing and enhancing, taking your knowledge to the next level. Before we get started, it's very important for us to say a big thank you to our sponsors. They are supporting this project, they are helping us make this happen. So, big thank you for all of you guys helping us and making this happen. Um, I would like to dedicate as well as a little bit of time before we get to our presentation to talk about myself. I would like to do a quick presentation, a quick introduction on myself here. So, as I said, my name is Rafael Santos and I work as a principal consultant at Sensei Project Solutions. I have had the opportunity to work on more than 50 PPM implementation projects in both the United States, in Brazil, where I live, as well as in Africa. So I am based in Brazil, but I work for Sensei, which is a company based in the United States. So I have had previous experiences here in the country, and now I am working more and more focused with customers based in the United States. And I have also participated in some projects to implement Project Online and Project Server and PPM tools, PPM platforms in Africa since I spent a couple of years in Africa. I am now running my second turn as a project MVP. So I received the award in 2016 and I'm now running my second turn as a Microsoft Project MVP. And I am also an author, a blogger, a speaker. So my first project book, which was a book talking about the creation of custom formulas and custom indicators in Microsoft Project, has been released and has been published or was published in 2017. I also run a blog here to the Portuguese speaking community, and I'm also a speaker doing presentations such as we are doing right now at the Project Virtual Conference, but I also work in some on-site conferences and some on-site events, even here in São Paulo, in Brazil, or in the United States, working with Microsoft, with Sensei, doing presentations, demos, and etc. So I hope that we can have a good time together during this session, and I hope that you can enjoy the content of today's presentation. So before we get started, there are just two more slides that I would like to share with you. In this one, I would like to say a little bit to talk a little bit about the company I work for. So the company is Sensei Project Solution. Sensei has been awarded with the 2014 PPM Partner of the Year award. So we were winners in 2014, and we have been nominated as finalists in both 2015 and 2017. So Sensei has managed more than 500 Microsoft PPM deployments, and we have in our portfolio more than 5,000 users trained in the administrators, project managers, and team members role. So we have a real global impact. We are also a Microsoft Gold partner for project and portfolio management. So we have a very strong presence all around the globe. At Sensei, we help organizations achieve strategic goals through work and project management best practices with Microsoft technology. So we really focus on the PPM platform, working with Project Online, Project Server, as well as Microsoft Project Desktop. And our offerings, they are organized or they are grouped in four main pillars. So we have our groups, so we have services, we have solutions, we have training, and we have apps. So if you ever need some help, if you would like to know how Sensei can help you get up to speed with your PPM implementation, please visit our website at senseiprojectsolutions.com, and we can definitely work with you and understand your needs and help you get up to speed using the PPM platform. So now we are really entering and getting started with our presentation. I would like to use this slide to talk a little bit about our agenda and what we will be discussing today. So the first thing that we will be discussing is we will do a quick review of Microsoft Power BI Content Pack. So Microsoft has released a very interesting Power BI Content Pack, and we will be reviewing it to just discuss a little bit and for you to understand what it does and what it is in the case you have never heard about it. Then we will be understanding what custom visuals are and how they can help us solve or answer business requirements and business needs. So I'll be discussing why we should be thinking about using custom visuals and how we can really use it to solve business needs. And then I will walk you through the creation of some reports. So I will provide you some real world examples that use custom visuals, and all of those examples will be based on my real experience working with clients and answering some of the business requirements that my clients or that the customers I have worked with had. So let's get started and talk a little bit about the Microsoft Power BI Content Pack. So the Microsoft Power BI Content Pack is a Power BI Content Pack that works exclusively in the context of Project Online. It has 13 pages, so the report has 13 pages that groups and organizes information in many different scenarios. So we see information regarding the portfolio of projects. We see some pages that are more concentrated on project costs and portfolio costs. We see some pages which are more related to milestones. Some of them are related to resources, so resource assignments, resource availability. So if you are using Project Online but you do not have any reporting tool, or if you have not get started deploying your reports, a good way to get started with this would be to download and install the Power BI Content Pack, because it's going to provide you a very nice collection of reports that will help you understand your Project Online platform. Will help you understand your PPM platform and how your projects are distributed, their health, and the utilization of the reports. If you do not know how to get started or how to download the Microsoft Power BI Content Pack, you can visit this GitHub site. And in this GitHub site, there is the Power BI Content Pack that you can basically download and use Power BI Desktop to get this installed. If you ever need to have some more details about all of the content available in the Power BI Content Pack, I have co-presented, I should say, a webinar with my colleague, the CEO of my company, the CEO of Sensei, Kenneth Steines. So we have delivered a session together at MPUG in which we basically went through all the Power BI Content Pack, all of its contents, how it's distributed, and the information it shows. So if you have never used, or if you didn't know about the Power BI Content Pack and you would like to have some more context about it, I will I would recommend you watching this webinar so then you can get some more information. You can be more aware of what it does, how it's organized. I will just real quickly show you some of the visualizations that we have. So here is the Microsoft Power BI content pack after it's downloaded, it's deployed. So as I said, it has 13 pages. Most of the pages are organized this way, so we have some charts that consolidate the information. We have also some tiles that show the context of that information. And some of the pages also have some tables that put some detailed information together. So in this example, we have a portfolio dashboard. I can see my projects, the number of projects based on their workflow governance. I can see the projects by type, and I can see also the list of projects. So if I move on here to the portfolio timeline page, I have some other information. If I move here to the portfolio costs, I have some other information. So as I was saying, it's free. You can just go ahead and download the Power BI content pack and get started up to speed. But let's discuss what's the objective of this session, which are custom visuals. So what are custom visuals? When you install Power BI desktop on your machine, you will have some visualizations which are the standard visualizations that are part of Power BI, right? So you have the out-of-the-box visuals, I would say. And the out of the box visuals are common visuals that we are used to see, for example, in Microsoft Excel. So we have column charts, bar charts, pie charts, we have tiles, we have tables, we have maps, we have lines, we have done it, we have some of the most common charts that we usually see in Excel. But the problem is that when we are using the out-of-the-box visualizations, they may not provide us with everything that we need to demonstrate and to show our data, to make sense of our data. And in this way, what Microsoft does is it allows companies and individuals to create some very nice visuals that can be used to enhance the context of the data we are presenting. So if we navigate to this website, which is app.powerbi.com/visuals, we will be seeing lots of different custom visuals that have been created by companies and individuals, which are available. Most of them are free. There are some that you need to pay, but the examples that we will be using during this presentation will just use free visuals. And what we can do is, if we do have an information that we need to present, but we need to present in a different context, and the out-of-the-box visuals available in Power BI are not enough or do not help us showing this information, we can always navigate to the visuals gallery, to Power BI's visual gallery, and in there we may find some information useful for us to use. So that's basically what custom visuals are. So as we are going to be exploring some of them, I will be providing you with some examples. We will basically get started with a visual called Funnel with Source by MAQ software. So this Funnel with Source by MAQ allows the organization and grouping of data by stages in a horizontal oriented funnel. So for each of the visuals that we will be using, that I will be presenting and showing to you during this demo, there is a business requirement behind the scenes, and I just would like to provide you with some more context about the business requirement as well, so then you can make sense why this particular visual has been selected, or why we did select this visual to be part of our Power BI file. So the business requirement here was the following. I was working at Sensei with a customer, and the customer wanted to see how the proposed costs were distributed over their project management lifecycle. So they had a workflow in place in their project online environment. And when a new project was created, the submitter, the person submitting the requester, I would say, right? So the person requesting the project had to fill a page with some information, and one of the information that was needed was the proposal cost. So what the company wanted to see was how those costs were distributed over the workflow lifecycle. So that was the reason we initially thought of on using the standard visuals available in Power BI, but then we were not so satisfied with the results, and then we tried searching for some custom visuals and discovered this one called Funnel with Source by MAQ, right? So let me go back to Power BI here, and I will be showing you how this is going to work. So I have a Power BI file that I will use during this presentation. And what you will be seeing is that in each of the pages that I have, I will always have a blank canvas or a blank space in the canvas, so then I can put the custom visuals and show you how this is organized, or how we should be organizing the custom visual. So my report has all of the connections already created. So if we see here to the right in the fields area, I have all of the connections. So I'm connecting to different tables, assignments tables, project baselines and projects table, workflow table, resources, time set, resource time set. I have also some custom measures that have been created. And if you see, I have also my visuals already downloaded. So I have downloaded them previously in advance to the presentation, just to make sure that we will not have any problems during this session, right? So, but of course, that in your Power BI file, you may not have all of the custom visuals that I am using here. So if you need to put together or to install any of the custom visuals that we will be using here, all you have to do is in the ribbon here in the home page, you can go to From Marketplace. So there is a section called Custom Visuals. You can go to this and click on this button, which is From Marketplace. And when we click on it, a new dialog will be displayed, and then you will be able to see all of the available Power BI visuals. You can search by category, or you can also do a search here. So for example, in this case, we are searching for the funnel. So if I type funnel and then press enter, those are all of the visuals named funnel that can be used. So in our case here, we are using this horizontal funnel with Source by MAQ software, for example. Oh, actually, we are using this one. Well, let's go ahead and do it. So let's just remember the business requirement. The client wanted to see how the costs were distributed over his workflow lifecycle, and this was done previously in their initial Power BI file by selecting this stacked column chart. So initially they thought on using this one. So let me just show you how this would be represented. So if I bring my workflow information and move the project phase here in the axis, and then under projects, I do have a custom field called proposal costs, I believe. Yep. So if I move here this to the value area, sorry, proposal costs, where are you? Yeah, they are here. So values. Yeah. So this was basically the way they were displaying this information in their old report. They wanted to see a more elegant and more meaningful information. So then we decided to use this one called Funnel with Source by MAQ. So I will bring this on here. And if you are familiar with Power BI, every single custom visual that we insert, actually, I should not say every single custom visual, but any visual that you insert in your canvas has some information that is required for it to work, right? So you have the areas here in which you have to bring some of the fields in order to make it work. So in this example, I have the category, and the category should be filled here by my project department. And the reason I'm using project department is because my project department will be the source. So I would like to understand which are the departments requesting projects and what's the volume of proposal costs being proposed or being required by each project department. So that's going to be my source. Then we have a subcategory here, and this subcategory is going to be my workflow phases. So I have under project workflow stage dataset a field called project phase. So we'll be moving this on here. And after that, I need to have a primary measure. So a primary measure is required because this is going to represent the volume of something. In this case, the volume of proposal costs. So I will close my project workflow stage. I will open my projects, and then I will bring my proposal costs into the primary measure area. So when I do this, this is what I see. I see each one of the shapes here representing the volume of proposal costs by workflow phases. So I know that in my proposal phase, I have an amount that is $9 million for proposal costs. Then if I just focus on projects which are in the selection phase, the total amount of proposal costs will be $3 million. Then if we go to planning, it's going to be 2 million, and as we can see, execution 11 million and closing 15 million. I can also try to filter the information by the department which is requesting the data. So if I filter by engineering, I know that the values change and they will represent now what is being requested by the engineering department. If I change to IT, for example, then the values will change, the shapes will change as well, because I am now putting my focus on my IT department. So that's pretty nice. And that is the way that we used, or that is the custom visual we used to resolve that particular business requirement that we have, which was seeing the proposal costs distributed over the workflow lifecycle. So let's move on here and go back to our PowerPoint slide. So now let's talk about the second custom visual that has been used. So there is a custom visual called Gantt chart. It has also been created by MAQ software. And this Gantt chart allows the visualization of the portfolio of projects, or if we do not care about the portfolio of projects, but we would like to put our focus on tasks, we can also see the collection of tasks that belong to a certain schedule, and we can combine this information with key performance indicators. So I like to think on the Gantt chart by MAQ as a representation of our project center page. So if you are using Project Online, you know that in the project center page you have the lists of all of your projects. You may have some information such as who is the project manager, and you may have some information regarding your key performance indicators. So you may have things such as schedule KPI or work KPI or cost KPI, for example. So this is where the Gantt chart by MAQ comes into play. The business requirement that we had was the company I was engaged with, I was working with, they wanted to replace Microsoft's out-of-the-box Gantt visual. So Microsoft does provide a Gantt visual, but it doesn't comes with all the flexibility. You are kind of not having all of the flexibility to change things around. and they were not so satisfied, I would say, with the out-of-the-box Gantt visual. So then they decided to see if there was something else available, and the reason was just because they would like to combine more information than just the project name. So they would like to see things such as owner name. They would like to see things such as KPIs and things like that. And this Gantt chart by MAQ software was just a perfect fit. So let's go back to our Power BI file, and I will move on to the next report. So we have the Gantt chart here. As I previously said, in each one of the examples, we will have a blank canvas in which, so we will take the advantage of using this blank area to basically put our custom visual. And here, what I can see is I can see the workflow phase and the workflow and the department. So they are basically slicers that I can use to filter my data. But let's go and bring here to this visual, to this Gantt, to this canvas, the Gantt chart by MAQ. So let's put this one here. As I said, I have previously downloaded it, so it's already available in my Power BI file. I can expand this a little bit. And this Gantt chart has a couple more fields, or a couple more items that should be filled in with data if we compare to the last one that we used, which is the funnel with source. So to get started with, we have the category, and the category should be what we see in text. So for example, if I would like to show my portfolio of projects, the category should be placed or should be filled with my projects. If I am working in the context of tasks, if I'm showing my schedule, then I should be putting here the tasks names, right? But since we are carrying, or we would like to see our portfolio of projects, I will bring my project name here. So then I have my project name. Then in the start, it's pretty self-explanatory. We have to bring the project start date. Since we bring the project start date, it shows earliest. So whichever is the earliest project start date for the entire portfolio of projects that we have will be used in the scale, and I will be showing this to you in a minute. Then we have the end. So the end field requires us to bring on the project finish date. As I said, pretty self-explanatory. And now instead of showing the earliest finish date, I will change to the latest. So it should consider the latest finish date. And I was saying that the earliest and the scale that's being used is the one that displays the schedule in here, right? So it's getting started on October 2014 and moving on until May 2020, based upon the earliest project start date and based on the latest project finish date. So now we have our visual almost done. We only need to care about some small stuff right now. So we have this data label, and in this data label is basically what's going to be presented in the bars. So in this case, we can show the project percent completion. So if I bring the project percent completion here, it's just going to be displaying what's the percentage of completion for each of the projects we are looking at here in the bars. So that's pretty nice. One thing that I said is that this particular visual has more flexibility. So for example, if I would like to combine two information in the category field, so other than the project name, let's say that I would like to show the project owner name, for example. So I could just bring the project owner name here and do some combinations just to show more information and to create a more meaningful report, for example. So if I put together project name and project owner name, that's the way the visual will be displaying my information. So, but I will remove here project owner name because I don't care about this at this very moment. And for us to finish this particular visual here that we are discussing, I will be also working on the KPIs. So what we need to do here is the KPIs require us to have. So I have used in my context here a calculated field because I didn't have this field available in my data source in my project online environment. So I did create a calculated custom field. Actually, I created three. So I have my work KPI, schedule KPI, as well as the cost KPI. If I click here on my schedule KPI, I can just increase a little bit here the size of this. So then you can see a little bit better what I did. And what I'm doing here is I am comparing my project finish variance with my baseline duration, and then I'm determining the results. So if this value is less than zero or is equals to or less than zero, meaning I do not have any variance at all, then I should show the number 4. And I'm showing number 4 here because the KPIs in the context of this particular visual, they work in a scale from 1 to 4. And 4 is when the visual shows the KPIs as green. Then we have 3, which shows the information as yellow. Then we have 2, which shows the KPIs as orange. And then we have 1, which shows the KPIs as red. So as you can see here, I'm using 4 for green. I'm using 3 for yellow. And I'm using 1 for red, and I'm skipping the 2 just because I'm not using orange at all. So since I have converted this information into numbers, what I can do is I can just drag and drop my schedule KPI, my cost KPI, as well as my work KPI here to this KPI area. As you can see, it's going to be displayed, or all of the information is going to be displayed in numbers, with numbers. And what I can do is I can just go here to the formatting area of the Power BI, and in here I can say that my KPI column, instead of being values, are going to be indicators. So then all of the numbers are going to be changed and will be converted into numbers, into indicators that will represent how our projects are running, and what's the status of them. And I can still use the filters here, so I can filter, for example, projects in execution, and then I will concentrate on projects on execution. I can see their KPIs, I can see their bars, and I can see their percentage of completion. So it's kind of having my project center page here in Power BI, providing me or giving me more flexibility. So very nice visual that I certainly recommend you to at least testing and seeing how it can provide you some help. Now moving back to the PowerPoint slide deck, I will talk about the next visual, which is a visual called Card Browser. So the Card Browser facilitates the exhibition of long text fields, combining it with custom images and visual elements. So when we do this explanation about what Card Browser does, you may ask, all right, so where should I be using this, or what's the scenario for me to ever be using this? So I'll share you what the business requirement was, and then you can understand. So I was working with a company, and they had a field in their environment called project status. So it was a text field, multiple line text field, and the project managers should go ahead and input in this field every Friday the status of their projects, right? So they just would like they had to say, my project is running well because of this, my project's not running so well, it's off track because of that. So they had to provide like a description of what was going on with their projects. And as you can imagine, some project managers, they were very creative people, and they were just, putting very long text explaining in very little details what was happening with their projects. In terms of project management, that's a very nice practice because people can just go ahead and consume this information and understand what's going on, what's happening. However, in the other hand, if you need to bring this information to a report, that's a challenge because it's very hard to organize long text fields in the context of a report, right? More challenging was the fact that all the executives in this particular company, they used to use iPads, and they ran Power BI, the Power BI app in their iPads, and they would like to consume this data or consume all of the information about the project on their iPads. So, they would like to have something that they could easily touch and discover what was happening in that particular project. So that was the reason we used this card browser. So let me go back to Power BI, move on to card browser, and it's going to be straightforward. So I will place my card browser custom visual here on my canvas, and I will expand it a little bit. All right. So when we click on the visual, we are able to see that there are lots of different items or lots of different elements that are required or that are requested for this visual to work. We are not going to be using all of them, but instead we will be just focusing on what's important. So the first one, the most important one, is the document ID. And the document ID helps us or helps the visual to understand the context of what we are talking about. So here we are talking about projects. Each card will be representing a project, an individual project that is a project created within a broader context, which is our portfolio, right? But here we would like to analyze the projects individually. So I will move on project name and put here in the document ID, and then the cards are just going to be created. Now I have to have a title. So my card needs to have a title, should have a title. So the title will also be the project name. So when I move project name, I can see the list of all of my projects. And here you can realize that that situation or that requirement that I said, in which the business executives needed to have something that they could touch, will make more sense, because with the card visual, if executives were using their iPads, they can just scroll over here, and they would be able to see all of the projects. They will be able to navigate through the projects. Then we have a preview. So a preview is a context or a little context of the text that we would like to use. In this case, I will use a custom field that exists in my context, which is a problem statement. So this is a multi-line text field created in my project online environment. So I'll bring this on here. And then I can have a very nice preview of my problem statements, or the problem statements for all of the projects I have in my portfolio, right? However, as I said, we had some very creative project managers, and sometimes the text was so big that it didn't fit into the card. So let's say that I needed to use some space here. I needed to have some more room, for example, and I had to say, let's just reduce this a little bit. Oops, seems like I'm having some trouble here with my mouse. Yeah, now it's working. So let's say that we had something like that, right? How can I see, or how can I understand, or how can I get the entire context of the text that is part of this card? So it's impossible. So that's the reason we have a preview. But if we need to expand this a little bit more, we also have the content. So in the content, I would be able to go ahead and put the problem statement again. And if my executives needed to see the entire information for this Butterball project, they would be able to just go ahead and click on the card or touch in the card if they are using their iPads, and then they would be able to see all of the context and all of the text, right? So the same thing here with this cactus. If I click on that on expanding, then the card will just get expanded and I can see all of the information. So that's a very, very nice way to see this. That's a very nice way to interact with the card. But just this, we can put some more context. So let's say that I would like to know who the project manager is. So there is a subtitle field here that we can use that's going to be inserted in the same context of the title. So if I have my project owner name here, which is my project manager, I could move this one here to subtitle, and then I have the project name as well as the project owner. If I would like to have a context of how this project is performing, so for example, let's pretend that I have, or let's say that I have a project KPI indicator in my project, which is yellow, green, or red, and then I have this stored or this created as an image. What I can do is I can bring this image, and I do have a project KPI field here. And I can place this in the badge area. So if I move this over from here to here, I can see the badges for each of the projects, and I can see the projects which are green, the projects which are yellow, and the projects which are red. Of course, that in your project KPI, you need to create a custom formula, and in your custom formula, it should be pointing to an image which is stored in a public website. So then it should be a URL. But as soon as you have this information, you would be able then to put some more context to your project, and you could be easily explaining how the project is performing and the information about this project. So next thing is we could be using some metadata fields to put some more context or some more useful information. So let's say that I would like to know what is the project start date. So as soon as this card gets expanded, I would like to see some more information on its context. So I would be able to use my project start date, for example. So let's move my project start date here to my metadata fields, and I will not use this as a hierarchy in terms of dates. I will just use the simple visualization of the date, so no date hierarchy. I would like to see also the project finish date. So project finish date is something important that I would like to have. I will move this over here. I would like to know what my percentage of completion is, for example. And I would like to see, for example, what's the enterprise project type. So as soon as I have some more information about my project in the card, what I can do is when I click on a project, so I have this absolute technology infrastructure project. If I click on it and expand it, I will be seeing all of the information which is in the context of the card. So I see the project name, I see project KPI, I see who's the project owner, or who is managing this project. I can see the entire description of my problem statement, as well as some additional custom fields, which are in this case my project start date, project finish date, percent complete, and enterprise project type name. So just going back here and reinforcing the message, if we have executives who are using iPads or who are using their mobile phones to see the dashboards, that's a very nice visual to share with them. Going back here to my presentation, we have two more visuals to discuss. The next one is called Sankley. I put an L here. It doesn't have this L. It's just Sankley, but I'm just seeing this right now, so it goes like this. So the Sankley provides a diagram that shows the flow of information moving from a source to a destination. The context that we had, the business requirement that has been raised and that we used to create this visual was the following. We had a company in which the resource managers wanted to quickly discover what was the amount of work that the resources under their management or under their administration were spending by department. So every time a new project was created, this project was associated with the department. And then the resource managers wanted to know, I am the manager of this group of people here. So I have um, developers, I have DBAs, I have project managers, I have business analysts, for example, in my company. And all of those projects have been requested. So how is my developer or how are my developers spending time against all of those departments? What's the amount of work? Where are they working? So those were basically the questions that were being asked, and then we used this Sankey visual to put together the information. So going back to Power BI, we will be using the Sankey visual. Here I have two filters that can be used. So I have a time slicer in which I can define what's the time frame that should be used to see all of the information. And I have also my roles. So my company uses roles. We always classify, we always assign people to roles. So then we have business analysts, DBAs, developers, infrastructure developers, and etc. So let's put together here our Sankey and let's get this organized. And the Sankey is pretty straightforward. So it has a source and a destination. So if I click here, the source is where the information is coming from. In this context, I would like to use an information coming from my resources, and this one will be the role. So I will be putting this here in the source, so then I can see my developers, my DBAs, my infrastructure developers, my network designers, and all of the roles that I have in my company. Then I would like to see for who they are working to, right? So which are the departments they are working to. This should be coming from projects because in each project we classify a department. So I would be able to see that. And if we see this the way it's being presented, we can easily see a relationship between roles and departments. But this is more, for example, I have one developer working for the engineering department, or I have one business analyst working for the PMO department. So it doesn't make much sense. What I would like to see is the weight, right? So we do have the weight here, which is what's the amount of work that this person is spending. So what I'm going to do is I will be opening up here the assignment time phased table, and I have the assignment work, which is representing the amount of work this resources work is dedicating to the department. So I'll bring on the assignment work and put this in the weight. So when I do that, then all of my relationship is created. And as we can see, I see that my project manager is working for IT and dedicating 6,000 hours to the IT department in those 3 initial quarters that we are filtering the year 2018. If I see project managers also work for engineering, but they dedicate a little bit more of time. They are dedicating a total of 88,000 hours. And this way I can just, navigate here and understand how this works. If I would like to filter by a particular month, for example, I could say, okay, we are in June, and I would like to see what's going to happen in July, for example. So if I only filter July, this is the distribution of hours. So I see that I have lots of DBAs working for engineering and working for IT. Also, I have my project managers working for engineering, working for IT, a little bit of work for other departments. Let's see here. Project managers are also working for PMO, so a little bit of hours, just 45 hours. And this way we could easily understand how this is all distributed. If I would like to use um, the slicer here, I would be able to say, okay, just filter or let's just concentrate on marketing, on infrastructure, and also developers. So then we would be able to see how they are deploying or dedicating their time to the departments during the month of July 2018. So that's a very nice way of seeing this information, a very nice way to understand, the source and destination of some information in our environment. In this case, we are talking about assignments. And for us to get finished, since we are just coming close here to our end, to our time, I would like to present you with the Waffle chart. So the Waffle is a 10 times 10 grid chart in which each cell represents 1 percentage point. So the business requirement for this was we were working with a company that wanted to discover the percentage of utilization for each role in their company. So they would like to see project online, see each role, and see and understand and have an easy understanding of how those roles were allocated or were being utilized, right? So what was the percentage of utilization for each role? So let's play with this. Let's go back here to our Power BI, and I will move on to the Waffle. So the same thing that we had previously, I have a timeline slicer here. Let me just put 2018. So I would like to put my focus on the entire year, 2018. And then let's bring on the Waffle chart. So the Waffle chart is a pretty easy and straightforward chart that we can use. So it should have a category, so we should put some category, which is basically the item that's going to be grouped. In our case, it's going to be role, because we would like to see the utilization by role. So we'll move on role here. Then we should have values, which would represent the utilization of these particular roles, right? Those particular roles. So in this case, I will bring on a custom measure that I created, which is assignments. So it's basically assignment work, but I created a measure to calculate this. So we'll bring this over here to values. In a nutshell, or in a summary, we may say that our project managers are being used 100% of their time, right? So is this something that we can really trust? Don't believe so. And the reason is we do not have something to compare to. So I know that assignments are being made or people have been assigned to tasks in my schedules. However, what's their capacity? So I should have the information about their capacity in order to deduct the assignments from capacity, and then I would be able to really see what's the percentage of utilization. That's the reason this Waffle chart has this max values here, and as max values I will be using another measure that I created, which is the CAP, an acronym for capacity, right? So I created a measure that calculates the capacity, and then when I bring capacity here, I can easily see how my resources or how my roles are being used. So as we can see, project and managers, they fall from 100% to 48% because now we are really evaluating their capacity and their assignments, right? So then it's easy for us to understand how my resources are being utilized. And here I see that I have a very serious problem with my DBAs during the year 2018 because they are being used 136% of their time, which means they are over capacity, right? So I'm using more DBAs than what I actually have in terms of capacity. So that's a very nice visual that we can use to organize data and to see information in this scenario, for example, capacity. But we can, find some other utilization for this as well. And I'm sure that you can test this visual with your data to provide some very nice way of discovering things and understanding things. So everybody, those are all of the visuals that I had to share with you. There are a couple of more visuals. Actually, there are many more other visuals that we could be using, but we only had 1 hour to explore here. So the question is, are you using one of the custom visuals that have been presented here? Or even better, are you using a custom visual in Power BI that has not been presented here? If so, please let me know. Let's get in contact. Here is my email address, rafael.santos@senseiprojectsolutions.com. I would love to receive your feedback. I would love to get started in a chat with you so then we can exchange some ideas. I can get some of the work that you are doing. I would love to understand how you are solving your business problems through the utilization of custom visuals in Project Online and Power BI. Are you not using custom visuals at all? Is this your first contact? Of course that I would like to know that. So write me down. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this has been useful. Also, you can visit our blog at senseiprojectsolutions.com/blog. Over there, you will find some very nice articles that have been published. Some of them are dedicated to Power BI and Project Online. I am also writing a new series of articles that will be just published on our blog at senseiprojectsolutions.com. So to not miss all of the items that will be published, you can just follow us in our social media. So we are on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn, we are in Facebook, and we are also on YouTube. So just follow us in our social medias, and then you will stay tuned and get connected to all of the things that we publish, all of the articles, all of the good stuff that we share with the project management community. So everybody, I will be finishing up here. Before I go, I just would like to say again a big thank you for all of you watching over there, depending on where you are. It was a pleasure to share some knowledge here today with you guys. I hope that you think it's useful. It has helped you to increase your level of knowledge in the utilization of Power BI and Project Online. And as I said, in the case you have any questions, you have comments, you have anything you'd like to share, just send me an email and we can chat. Okay, I'll be leaving you guys right now. Thank you very much, and I hope that you can enjoy. You can still enjoy the upcoming sessions in the Project Virtual Conference 2018. Be seeing you soon. Bye bye.